Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of Ravenloft Fright Nights. My name is Locke, my pronouns are they, he, and I will be your wereraven today. Now today I am asking you to once again stay with me. Please do not wander off as we are going to venture into a little bit of a personal subject, I guess, for me. As in, these are going to be my personal fears for exploring. I want to talk about which of the domains of dread I actually find terrifying. What actually scares me? The concept of Ravenloft is terrified. Most places I would not survive. So that's just the blanket statement. I'm talking more which ones do I find personally like absolutely horrifying, would truly get to me in a more personal sense. I do think the first one might come as a surprise to you guys, and I'm not going to do like a full breakdown on these domains. If you want to look into them, please do. I'll do like brief descriptions of these. The point of this is not to explain what they are to you, just like what I find terrifying about them, right? So the first one I want to talk about is actually a pocket domain, the Nightmare Lands in particular. That little pocket domain terrifies me. And I don't even know if we like it is a pocket domain. It's a smaller setting, but it's also one of the vaster settings because the whole thing that scares me about the Nightmare Lands is that if you fall asleep anywhere within the domains of dread, within Ravenloft, there is a chance that you won't wake up and you will get stuck in the Nightmare Lands. Just falling asleep, not falling asleep and not getting up because you died, but falling asleep and not waking up because you've been sucked into a nightmare realm is awful. And there's like it's literally that you get stuck. Like you can only get out under very specific circumstances, so then that's just your new reality, which means like your body's just out there and vulnerable wherever you fell asleep, more likely to be eaten or killed or otherwise, while your consciousness is just stuck in this eternal torment that could be a lot more lucid in its rules and its games, and nothing would make sense, right? Because it's a nightmare realm, and dreams, nightmares, night terrors don't have to fit with our reality or the reality of Ravenloft, right? It doesn't have to be defined by any physics or rules or logic or anything, and that's awful. And I personally, if you didn't know this about me, I have night terrors and nightmares. They're not as bad as some people experience. Thankfully, I'm lucky in that regard, but I do have issues with a lot of sleep, in which, for the most part, I don't sleep that often, or I sleep less than I probably should, which I recognize is not healthy, but I don't enjoy anything about it. I don't feel rested afterwards. Like I said, I get a lot of nightmares just in general, so the idea of being sucked into a domain that is just that constantly, especially with me imagining what my personal nightmare realm would be, I don't want to fuck with that. You know what I mean? Like that's just that gets into a realm that I would rather do without, which is why I think the Nightmare Lands, despite being a bit smaller, bit less well known, they have like silly names like I think the Dark Lord is literally the Nightmare Court. You can make up what the nightmare entities are and stuff like that, what their names could be. I don't know. I know there's some realms where it could just be really fun and cool, but if I were to really think about it, it's one of the more scary ones to me personally. Okay, my next one is another bigger pocket domain. I want to talk about the Sea of Sorrows. So the Sea of Sorrows is one of the ways that you can travel between the domains. It's just this big, mystic, haunted ocean that technically can appear in any of the bodies of water, even if it's like a lake. It just suddenly could become the Sea of Sorrows. There's a lot of islands in the Sea of Sorrows, but you can technically get on a ship or otherwise and sail across the Sea of Sorrows and end up in a different domain, either just randomly where you end up, or if you have a mist talisman, you can go exactly where you're wanting to go. But I think the Sea of Sorrows is terrifying because I've realized in recent years how much I am terrified of water. So the idea of sailing through or getting stuck in or otherwise having the burden of having to travel through the Sea of Sorrows would be awful for me because you kind of can't see where you're going. The mists are surrounding everything. The water water is already really big and deep in general in like real life, but like I would imagine the water would be fucked up, dude. In Ravenloft, like it's probably really dark and murky. You're probably gonna see a lot of like dead bodies floating through it. The creatures that could be in there, like there could be an undead kraken or a sea serpent or like a spirit sea serpent or something even more unnatural than just the idea of like a giant tentacle coming up out of the water and sinking your ship. Like it could be so much worse. So much worse. I don't know, I just can't do it. I know part of this probably stems from the fact that I don't know how to swim, which is probably something that I should rectify. I should probably learn how to swim in case anything happens in that regard, in real life. But like I can't swim. I don't like that you can't see in the water where anything could be in the water. I don't like it at all. So the Sea of Sorrows is a big scare for me personally. Nautical horror. Oh. I'm realizing a lot of these ended up being pocket domains because I think the next one I want to talk about is Klorr. Essentially, there is a giant black hole slash eye at the center of Klorr. If I get any of these details wrong, I am doing this all from memory. I want to let you know. So you can correct me, but I think I'm getting some good details down. And it's okay if I get some stuff wrong when I'm doing it from memory. But there's a big like black hole in the center, and there's a bunch of islands kind of being sucked into the center, and you don't know when those are going to be officially destroyed. And it's basically kind of like the passing of time and the echoes of failed domains or domains to come. It's very cosmic horror and existential because you never know when the next like floating island land is going to get sucked in and destroyed. And you also don't know which ones are being alluded to as becoming domains or failed domains or what have you, sort of thing. Like there's an allusion to the Knight of the Black Rose in that. Why did I? The Knight of the Black Rose? Ooh, he was referenced in this section. I'm done. I'm done. Lord Soth, his previous domain, because it technically failed because Lord Soth was sent back to the prime material plane after, like, I don't know, repenting well enough. So the reason I find that terrifying is because of how I think that would be mind-breaking to witness, to kind of see into the fabric of the universe, this dark universe that kind of determines when these essentially like these domains of dreads are essentially like prisons, right? When they manifest, when they're going to come, when they're going to go. I just feel like that would be too much information. I think that's like peeking behind the curtain of how things work in a way that would change you forever if you survive. I think it would break you mentally, break your sanity, which is why like I really think like we're leaning into cosmic horror with this pocket domain, right? And I don't need to know. I don't need to know what the dark powers are doing. I don't need to know. You know? The only thing I need to know is if there's something that they could do for me, then I could do something to exchange for, which definitely won't do me to the to the narrative. I think it would work out for me personally, but I don't need to see behind the curtain. I don't need to go to Klorr and have my mind messed with or have to worry about something new manifesting as a new domain of dread with its whole own set of rules and horrors within. I don't need to know. I'm okay with not knowing some things. Sometimes it's better. That's why we say ignorance. That's why law can't speak. But that's why we say ignorance is bliss. Okay. I think my last one that I'm gonna bring up, I'm gonna bring us to a bigger domain. Darkon. Darkon scares me so much. I can't wait for the day that I get to do a Darkon campaign because I do want to do that. I just want to set one in Darkon. I have a lot of ideas for the setup and the campaign and the plot hooks and everything and what I would add in there. I think it would be so fun. But there is a certain aspect to Darkon that terrifies me. And just a brief little summary, Darkon is technically it's the domain that is currently in a state of failing because its Dark Lord is missing. So if you don't reinstate either the Dark Lord that's missing, Azalin Rex, or work with the candidates who are vying for being the true heir to Darkon and thus can take the Dark Lord title to save it from being destroyed, but also so they can further their own agenda. There's like kind of like a political intrigue aspect to Darkon, the way that it's written. But if someone doesn't get that title, the domain will fail. And the part that hints at it failing is the way that the mist is behaving, and that is the part that absolutely terrifies me. I don't know why I had to but here we are. So the mist in Darkon is actually referred to as the Shroud because the mists have turned hungry in a way that is more aggressive and unpredictable than the mist in other parts of Ravenloft. Because the Shroud is actually kind of weaving its way through the land and consuming it, consuming the people, consuming the houses, consuming the land. And if you go into the Shroud, no one actually knows what happens. And it's kind of up to interpretation as far as I remember of like what actually is the Shroud doing. Is it actually fully consuming people to where like those people are just gone, those places are just gone, and it's just like that base thing, and then people don't want to talk about it because of like, you know, the sake of survival or being in denial and stuff like that? Or when the Shroud consumes, does it actually erase those people and places and things from existence to where like people don't talk about it because they don't remember that anything was even there? And there's obviously other things that you can decide to do by like connecting it to another domain, blah blah blah, whatever you want to do, but either way, the Shroud is what I'm afraid of, because the idea of the mist looming in and you not realizing potentially that it's different than mists normally are acting, and for some reason you can't get away from it, and then suddenly you're just blip gone and no one remembers you, or you're just blip gone just in general. Or if you change it to where like maybe it alters your memories, you don't remember who you are, and it just plops you out somewhere else. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Not for me. I don't want it. That's awful. That's terrifying. The Shroud is... Ugh. Dude. I can't fuck with that. I can't fuck with that at all. Like, you know how hard it would be to become attached to anything or anyone? Because if the mist just happened to waft in and then takes your best friend and then suddenly you can't even remember that. I mean, I guess there's the element of like you wouldn't know, right? You wouldn't know what you're missing in a way if it completely erases from existence. But then also if it's not that and you do still recall, then you just have to know that you just lost that person to this devouring, all-powerful, ever-present fog. And I don't know. Either way, it's not good. Either way, it's not good at all. And it's also very isolating in Darkon, because I think there are parts of the map that are like completely isolated from each other at this point. And how do you travel through that? How do you deal with that? It's a very... Also I didn't even think about that until I had to start talking about it. The isolating people from each other thing. Also, I don't like. I really don't like feeling isolated. It's like a big... I hate using the word trigger because of the way that things have been twisted, but technically I don't know what other word to use for it. But I don't like the feeling of being isolated. It's a very bad time for me because of things that have happened in my past in which I was forcibly isolated from other people a few times, time and time again. So the idea of the Shroud isolating communities, people, family, friends, loved ones from each other, I also really don't care for that idea either. That truly freaks me out. But I think that's gonna do it. I think it gave you a little bit of an insight into my psyche, for better or for worse, and let you guys know a little bit about what I find to be the most terrifying domains of dread within 5th edition Ravenloft. Yeah, when I say that doesn't mean I'm not gonna run these pocket domains. That's not that. Like I said, I like interacting with horror, and I know how to check in with myself in a healthy manner. But it's just more of like, if I myself was plopped down in there, I'd be like, no, get me the fuck out of here, dude. I can't do this. I would lose it. This is where I would be broken by like a fear or stress mechanic implemented if I was just a D&D character. I would truly be broken and I would not be playable anymore if I don't just die, sort of thing. If there's a domain of dread that you find to be particularly horrifying, or there's an element to it that you find to be more terrifying to you personally than the others, I would love to hear what scares you the most about these horror settings, because they all have their little elements that some people might find more terrifying than others. So I think it'd be fun to learn what scares you the most about the domains of dread, as you've learned a little bit about me. And as we are getting our way out of the mist, I hope that no one fell asleep and got stuck in a nightmare realm in a new domain of dread, because I'm sorry, I'm not. I wish I was a better person. I wish I could say that chivalry and nobility mattered to me and I'd go in after you and try to pull you out and wake you up. I think I proved enough in this video how much that scares me. You're on your own, dude. If you fell asleep, you aren't even listening anymore, and that's fine. That's on you. Good luck in there. I hope you live or find a way to subsist among the horrors. But anyway, thank you all for watching and joining me for the 6th episode of Ravenloft Fright Nights. If you want to see the rest of this series as it is coming out leading up to Halloween, please hit that subscribe button and hit the like button too while you're down there. It lets me know that you're enjoying it, and then I might make this an annual thing. We'll see if you guys enjoyed this. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. I did my other hand, and it, ooh, I don't think I like that. See you guys next time.